Lu Sheng placed his hand over his chest and with a sincere expression, promised her that if it was something he could do, he would certainly do his best. Ecclesia began to ponder in silence, knowing that Lu Sheng was someone to be trusted. Lu Sheng placed his hand under his chin and sank into his thoughts. The Yamu Star Sector had done a lot for him lately. The White Hole Explorer ship alone was worth several billion black crystal coins, and that was just the cost of materials, not the selling price. As for the other cultivation resources, they were countless. He had taken so much that he felt ashamed. His eyes began to shine with seriousness. This time, they had even helped solve the problems at his home, and he really wouldn't feel at ease if he didn't do something in return for the Yamu Star Sector. With a kind smile, Sebastian extended his hand and asked our boy if he was interested in joining a combat competition and skill exchange with geniuses from other star sectors to improve martial prowess. Hearing this, Lu Sheng snapped out of his thoughts, his eyes widening with curiosity and confusion, and asked for the specific details. With a serious gaze, Sebastian stood up, began to point his finger at Lu Sheng, and clarified that, in the name of the Yamu Star Sector, they would join with the 13 surrounding star sectors to launch a grand-scale, inter-sector, star-level martial genius exchange tournament. Sebastian began to raise his hand in the air, and not long after, a hologram of the entire universe appeared. In a calm tone, he explained to Lu Sheng that when the time came, they would gather every super genius from the 13 star sectors, hailing from every civilization and race. Lu Sheng's attention was fixed on the hologram, and he sank into his thoughts. Sebastian's eyes began to shine with determination, a smile appearing on his face as he revealed that they would be his sparring partners. Lu Sheng couldn't help but smile, knowing this was the grand stage of the stars, a place where all races would compete for supremacy and prodigies would clash. The mere idea of being able to pinch the little heads of those star-level geniuses from different sectors and species ridiculously excited him. After giving it some thought, Lu Sheng approached Sebastian and, with a calm expression, mentioned that he accepted to participate in the tournament and asked when it would begin. Sebastian began to stroke his beard, closed his eyes, and asked Lu Sheng not to be hasty. He explained that, for now, this was just an idea of his. He still had to ask if the other star domains agreed, and the exact list of participants was still under discussion. Sebastian tapped Lu Sheng on the chest, causing his eyes to widen in surprise. Sebastian began to stare intently at Lu Sheng and made it clear that he was the key, and that the only thing he needed to do right now was to cultivate, continue cultivating, and become stronger. Ecclesia approached and interrupted them, explaining to Lu Sheng that although an immortal grade bloodline was powerful, his current strength level was still a bit low. She crossed her arms and her eyes began to shine with seriousness. She explained that the other star domains surely didn't have immortal grade geniuses, but that across a dozen of them there would be at a minimum, some at the glimmer moon and sunlight levels. 12th level powerhouses would not participate, but there would definitely be no shortage of 11th level ones. Sebastian, who had his arms behind his back, admitted that she was right, but warned Lu Sheng not to get carried away by the excitement. Although the goal was to bring people to be his sparring partners, winning or the rankings didn't really matter. In any case, his future prospects were tens of thousands of times wider than all of theirs combined. Lu Sheng listened in silence without interrupting. Sebastian closed his eyes and let out a sigh. Then his body began to release an intense and powerful green martial energy. He still hoped that this unprecedented tournament of top geniuses among the star sectors would be a demonstration of power, showcasing the value of immortal-grade bloodlines and elevating the prestige of their Yamu Star Sector. Lu Sheng began to gaze toward the ground, and an excited smile spread across his face. His eyes began to shine with confidence, and he asked Sebastian if all the opponents would be solely 11th level. He declared that this was not enough and that, at a minimum, they should bring more 12th level martial arts prodigies. Otherwise, the pressure would be too small. Hearing this, Sebastian's and Ecclesia's eyes widened in surprise, and their jaws dropped in shock. At the same time on the blue planet, on some island near the sea, it was daytime, and seagulls were soaring through the sky. Not far away, there was a group of women in bikinis enjoying a beautiful day at the beach, and behind them was a fat guy with glasses drinking coconut water. After taking a sip, he activated his watch and with a smile, asked Mars to guess how much profit he had made this time. The watch began to project a hologram of a man with elf ears, who with a confused gaze mentioned that he didn't know. A confident smile spread across the fat guy's face and, holding up a finger, he revealed that it was 100,000, at least 100,000, and in black crystal coins. Hearing this, Mars's eyes widened in surprise and his jaw dropped in shock. He couldn't believe that he wasn't joking and that a profit of this kind was actually possible. The fat guy lay back in the hammock and began to laugh heartily. He explained that Mars had no idea how rich this low-level resource planet really was. His predecessor had been a fool, because every time he came to collect resources, he took exactly the amount the boss ordered him to, making him a complete idiot in his eyes. He set the coconut on the table and with an arrogant expression mentioned that this was a good thing, since if Lan Cheng hadn't been stupid, it wouldn't have benefited him anyway. The fat guy relaxed, knowing that by just coming here a few more times, it wouldn't take him long to save up enough to buy a house, a spaceship, and even pay the dowry to marry Marina. The fat guy started laughing like crazy. The gifts he had given in the past certainly weren't in vain, as they had transferred him to the resource department all at once. The perks were truly extraordinary. He made back the money he spent on the gifts in a single trip. Mars started staring at the fat guy and couldn't help but feel envious. Working at the lowest levels was tough, while the fat guy received the best treatment and service on every resource planet. He also got to enjoy the scenery of different planets, not to mention the beauties and gourmet food. Mars's eyes began to shine with rage, causing him to clench his fists tightly. He exclaimed that the fat guy had it made and that he also wanted to be transferred to the resource department. With a confident smile, the fat guy explained that he couldn't look at it that way, since some places were full of perks, while others were so barren that not even birds would shit there. The map of the blue planet came to his mind as he explained that, for example, his current location, Blue Planet A28462, seemed ordinary and its martial civilization had only begun 300 years ago. However, no one would have thought that their exploration of the planet's star vein energy crystal deposits had reached 90%. This planet alone had brought him nearly 10,000 black crystal coins. Mars closed his eyes and crossed his arms. He considered this outrageous and warned him to be careful, since such a rich production of energy crystals must mean the presence of many martial powerhouses. According to him, the people from lower civilizations were all brutes, and if he provoked them, they might team up to slaughter him. While Mars was speaking, the fat guy just smiled, mentioning that he was more cautious than him and that he had investigated it a long time ago. The highest level on the blue planet was only 9. And there were fewer than 100 of them. As for the civilization's heritage, the fat guy started watching 2 women playing in the sea. As for the civilization's heritage, it seemed quite strange to him. The foundational martial heritage looked quite advanced, but the top tier one was terribly behind. The fat guy started to imagine Liu Sheng surrounded by intense martial energy, and Mars revealed that this seemed to be because a genius called the God of War had appeared on this planet and had already left for the stars. He supposed that those high-level heritages at the lower levels were bought from the outside and spread there. After all, low-level material was cheap. Mars's eyes began to shine with seriousness as he warned him that geniuses from native civilizations capable of leaving their planet weren't simple, and that he should watch his step or he'd trigger a trap. The fat guy couldn't help but smile. He gestured dismissively and asked with disdain if Mars really thought he should be afraid of them. He explained that this planet hadn't even been approved for a level 10 martial license, which meant it had never produced a warrior above level 10. He claimed that they could bring him as many level 9 warriors as they wanted. He would take them all on. While the fat guy was sunbathing, Mars decided to tell him that if that was the case, he should do as he pleased, and added that something big had happened recently in the core star sector. Mars clenched his fist tightly and with a gaze full of seriousness revealed that in the neighboring Yamu star sector, a super genius with a transcendent, immortal-grade physique had appeared, something that had sent shockwaves through every star sector. Hearing this, the fat guy first adjusted his glasses, and then his eyes widened in surprise and fear, leaving him in shock. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. An immortal grade was something he had always considered a mere legend. Mars put a hand to his face, let out a sigh, and told the fat guy to just look it up for himself. The fat guy's attention was fixed on him, his mind filled with curiosity. Mars spread his hands and decided to tell the inside story, explaining that the genius was originally from their White Mist star zone, but due to the negligence of a certain enforcer, the Yamu star zone had secretly snatched him away. As a consequence, that enforcer ended up being exiled to the Warfield star for 3,000 years. After many explanations, the fat guy placed his hand under his chin and couldn't help but smile, realizing that all of this had actually happened and that the Yamu Star Zone had some very cunning methods. Mars began to imagine several high-ranking nobles and explained that, right now, the nobles of the core star zone were searching for talent like crazy on the low-level civilized worlds of their own domains, and that this had become a genuine trend. With his face covered in sweat, Mars started pointing his finger at him and decided to remind him not to overstep his bounds on the low-level resource planets. Otherwise, if he provoked some monstrous prodigy, he wouldn't be able to handle the consequences. With a nervous expression, the fat guy started waving his hand dismissively, promising that he would never cross someone so important, since he was in star cluster number 2837, basically the suburbs of the suburbs. At that moment, Mars's watch began to beep, and with a nervous expression, he revealed that, apparently, that genius had been found right in their star cluster. Hearing this, the fat guy took off his glasses, his eyes widening in fear, wondering if Mars was playing a joke on him. With a furious gaze, the fat guy accused him of being an alarmist. He claimed that even if the genius really was in cluster 2837, there were tens of millions of life-bearing planets there, making the probability 1 in 100 million. He was so sure he wouldn't run into him that he swore that if he did, he would do a handstand and have diarrhea on the spot, and then drink it all up. This is the end of the video. If you guys want to see the next part, then don't forget to subscribe and like the video.